All right, welcome to the podcast. Today we have BJ Harris. They are a game designer, a writer, a defender of justice on social media, uh, and always hilarious. I'm so thrilled to have you, and we're going to talk about a lot of different kind of maybe hidden gem games that a lot of people don't might not know about, but they should and try. We're going to talk about what really does make a game good. And before we get into that, could you go ahead and introduce yourself just a bit?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is VJ Harris. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and something funny. And if you have something funny, drop them in the comments. I'd love to see it. I've only got, I think, like maybe 3 funny pronouns at this point, and I'm always collecting more. I am a full-time professional game master and tabletop role-playing designer. I've been doing this since I've been DMing since 2015, but professional stuff that started in like 2020. Same and maybe same around the design stuff as well. And I've been in a couple of things. You might recognize me from like An Elf and a Cat Little Baby,
Yep.
City Productions, Arcadia articles, or Flea Mortals. I was also in that, and I'm just kind of around.
That's great. How long have you been like not to, date you, but like how long have you like what was your first tabletop experience? Like how did you get into the hobby?
Yeah. Okay. Picture this. 20 like either early 2020 either early 2015 or late 2014. I am at the University of Alabama, which is where I graduated with my bachelor's. I got a degree in creative writing with a focus in African American and queer studies, but they don't have that for and public relations, but like that's secondary to this. They don't have that first degree, so I had to go into the new college, which lets you cobble degrees together, and then you have to do a dissertation at the end, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sitting in the new college lounge, and somebody's like, "Hey, can somebody help me with my like, it's a dissertation essentially, just a smaller one." So lots of people say my dissertation, and like we got to play a game, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." Takes me into the next door room. We play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't remember anything about it except for there were like monkeys in a barrel or something, but I immediately fell in love with it. And then a few months after that, maybe 6 months tops, my roommate asked if I want to go play D&D at like our local gaming store. It's literally right around the corner from our apartment complex. Like our apartment complex, train tracks, and then the D&D store is over here. And I was always a nerdy kid, courtesy of my dad. Loved fantasy, loved sci-fi, loved all of that. Very much into Yu-Gi-Oh! Played Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was younger. Still have the cards somewhere. But never got into TTRPGs because my dad also wasn't into them. So I didn't even know they existed. And then boom. And the rest is just like history. Here I am.
There you are. And so yeah, so how long was it before you ran your own games? Was it like right away? Because some
Oh,
people are kind of natural born, narrator, storyteller, game master types, and some people are just get
it
into character, Daniel Day-Lewis kind of thing.
it was very much like right away.
Yeah, me
Um
too.
So here's the thing. It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be me because I'd never played before at this point. I knew the rules for my character, and generally someone else was supposed to run it before me, and then they were like, "Hey, I'm not ready." And then everybody was like, "Hey, can you be ready?" And I was like, "Yeah, just give me 30 minutes." And I just got pushed into the deep end. I thought I was gonna have more time to at least feel more comfortable with the game. And the while I can barely while the like story of it all wasn't bad, the understanding of the mechanics wasn't great. I literally let a
Right.
player who was a rogue do a coup de grace on an entire barrack of
Ooh.
like soldiers. And I was sitting over here like, now I look back on them like, you silly goose, you what a what a time. What an
What a
actual
time.
time.
Yeah, we have, yeah, anyone who's run a game, you know what that's like. It's just that sure, like, just the terror of it. And then, I don't know. I think even now, I think I still get that just that right before we start the session, there's that little bit of twinge in the back of your head.
Mhm.
It's like, ah, and I kind of remember those days. But I think it keeps us sharp, right? Like,
Mhm.
keeps us on the ball. Yeah, cool. All right, so. Let's talk about this. So you had a YouTube video. I'll put a link down here recently where you ranked a bunch of games that no, I think a lot of them were just recently not necessarily 2005, right? Just recent games.
Um, yeah. So, man, I'm so bad with dates. Um, honestly, let me just pull this up real quick because I
Okay, go
have
ahead. Yeah, no worries.
man, I have the list. I genuinely don't know when the majority of these were put out. I just know that I've played them in the past, like 5 or so years. Like I started off with D&D and I was in that for so long. And then
Right.
Orbital Blues was the very first TTRPG that I played that wasn't D&D. Yes. And it opened up my entire world to so many other things. But Call of Cthulhu definitely not from like is like way
Yeah,
older.
right. That's been years. Yeah.
Mhm. Obviously Dungeons and Dragons 2014. I'm pretty sure Fabula Ultima is older than like 2015,
Yeah, it's like
maybe.
it's been knocking around a while.
But I think
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Starfinder, yeah, but I think the majority of what I've
Yep.
played has like come out in like the past like 10 years.
Right. Okay. So it's within the decade,
Hmm.
and some of them are much newer. Some of them are okay. But this is the main thing is that did the classic YouTuber like let's rank them,
Let's do
and I think probably you had about 15 different games that you talked about, right? Something
it.
around there.
22, 23, depending
Yeah,
on if you
22. I
count
was even bigger. Yeah.
if you can count D&D
So
2014 and 2024 the same. So
fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. The weapon masteries and that just is just enough to make it feel a little bit different. Okay, so what like when you think about games and say, okay, this is good. I like this. I would recommend this versus this was okay, but I don't think I'm going to play it again. It's like I wish I never played it
Mhm,
versus
mhm,
the S class of I will always play this and I will always
mhm,
recommend it and I'll always
mhm.
have a great time with it. Like where are some of your kind of guiding principles in making those judgments?
Yeah, so first, like to use an example from the video, I ranked Aces and Eights, which is a Wild West like TTRPG,
Right.
and it got an F because
Right.
for the
Because
biggest reason it got an F is because the racism in it like was really
right.
very much trying to capture the 1800s Wild West feeling, and I'm like, I
Right.
hate I actually pretty much hate TTRPGs that have bigotry in them. Um,
Right.
it's especially in this like in that regard because it very much wasn't like a fight against the oppression and more like, well, we're gonna use slurs and stuff. So like first off, like bigotry in that regard is like automatically gonna like put you in an F category. I don't care if it's an S tier game.
Yeah.
If you got bigotry, it's an F for me.
It's
And
done.
like to be clear, bigotry in that category because there are certain like TTRPGs that are about like, hey, you are experiencing bigotry, but the game itself is not trying to engage in bigotry or get you to engage
Right.
with it in a way where you're using slurs and stuff.
Right.
And so that's like a completely like separate like kind of category of things that can affect my ranking, but it doesn't inherently do so. There's that. There's just like over complexity. Like certain things I understand like certain things need to be complex, right? Like for example, I've just been kind of pinning through it. I haven't like sat down and read everything yet, and I'm draw steel. I'm gonna run a little one shot to like get a feel for it because I like tactical stuff as well. And looking at it, I'm like, okay, there are some like there's a lot of minutia and breaking down of stuff. Like somebody did a YouTube video where it's like if you play draw still, it's very much like you want to have a Bible in front of you where you can open it up, quote, say da da da, like this is exactly how this is supposed to work. And I understand why exists and should exist versus
Mm.
like I said, aces and eights. It's like, oh yeah, so roll a D100, and if you get this percentage, go over here. Then if you get this percentage, go over here, get a and go and go and go and go and go. And I'm like, hey, I don't think this game needed that. Like at the end of it all, I knew like my entire family tree and how many people died from like consumption or some other like whatever. Can I curse?
Yeah, go for it.
What other bullshit?
No
Like it,
no
like
holds no holds barred.
it was unnecessary. There was too much, and that was the basic version. So I fear looking. I didn't look at the advanced version. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like over complexities, just for the sake of being overly complex, not actually doing anything for the narrative. Like they could cut like 50% of the stuff that they had us doing, and it's still like outside of the racism, it would still work. Is the thing. Much lower on the totem pole is layout. And but here's the thing. I if you have the place where layout gets you into trouble is when you're in the upper tiers of thing, which is why like Orbital Blues was an
Oh,
S tier for me, and neither was Good
right.
Society. Is because I was looking and I was like, I don't like this layout. It stresses me out. I wish these were like more intuitive, easier to like follow through. Because I can give some like leeway and stuff to the lower tier things, but if you get into S tier, your stuff has to be like damn near perfect, if not perfection, right?
Mm,
I shouldn't think back on the games when I'm after I'm played them and be like, man, that was fun, but God, did I hate the layout of it. Like,
right.
if I think that, it's like, okay, you're an A tier game, unfortunately. But that's that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Might not be the case for other people. Like, if I was just gonna give it a ranking on just the gameplay, I'd put Good Society and Orbital Blues in S tier. And just be like, hey, short caveat, I had to do this to make it
Okay.
easier for people and all that other good stuff. Um, Also, I how well does it fit into its genre? Of course, like Orbital Blues is a space western. It knows what it's doing. It's sticking to its niche. Um, I love games that like will like be like, hey, this is what we are about, and we're gonna stay here. Because like D&D likes to be like, hey, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and I was like, if y'all would have just stuck with one niche, y- I don't know if you'd be higher in my rankings because there are the issues with you, but it would have been like it does factor into what I'm talking about. How well does it do its genre? Um, Art, some art can never hurt a ranking for me, but it can always help it, right? Like I'm not gonna
Right.
sit here and be like, oh my god, this is a terrible teacher, but you don't have any art. I know how expensive it is to get art when you're a
Yeah.
smaller, like you're a smaller creator, designer, team, whatever. But if you have very good art, it'll be like, damn, that you know what? That has that you could get a bump for me, right? You
Right.
can go from like C to B if you have like excellent art and there's nothing like super atrocious about your like gameplay. And also, of course, because I've played every single one of these games, what did like when the game was over,
Mm,
what was my like emotional takeaway? Like the question I asked myself is, if I never
yeah.
got to play this game again, would I be sad? And if the
Mm.
answer is yes, then it's like this did everything it was supposed to do for me, and it's something that I'm gonna want to keep coming back to.
That's a beautiful standard. I think it's an emotional experience, and I think we forget that sometimes. There's all these debates about, well, yeah, Daggerheart generates hope and fear, and there's all these meta currencies that you have to track, and blah 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 blah. How did you feel when the game was done? That is
Mhm.
exactly what this is all about. Is how does this make us feel? How does this help us explore ourselves? How does this help us get to know other people? And when help them explore, they're helping you explore. It's an emotional experience, and to get even the tactical stuff, even like the tactical like fourth edition, of D&D, like, it's really just chess with dice. Like even then there's an emotional component because you
Mhm.
still feel something when you finish playing. And I think you're totally right. I think that that is the standard, is how did this make you feel? And you're right, it is a little bit like having a friend, and if you can't see that friend again, you're going to be sad and lonely.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think yeah, I think that's so. Having said that, who are your best friends?
Orbital Blues. Orbital Blues is my best friend, actually. Orbital Blues
Yeah.
is my best friend. As I said, this was the first TTRPG I ever played that wasn't D&D. Like up
Mm,
until I can't. Oh man, what year was it? Honestly, I can't even remember what year it was, but I'm pretty sure it was like it was 20. I'm pretty sure it was 2020. Like we get in. Because that's when I started. Actually, it might have been a little bit past 2020 because I started like designing and stuff in the space like around that time, and then a little bit after that, I was like getting introduced to more things. I played it. There is a like quick start adventure that you show up as you get invited to like an all you like you want a prize or something, and you show up and then you get arrested because the agency that
right.
was searching
That's
for you,
good.
yeah, literally is just using that to like get you arrested, which is something that agencies actually do in the real world, which I
Yeah,
didn't
they
know about
really
that until
do.
we played it.
That's a
Yeah,
real
right.
thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and we got arrested and then we had to fight our way out, and it was I had like after I played the game, I literally just went and laid in my bed and was just like, wow, what I had like I've had like better times with other TTRPGs, not in the sense where Orbital Blues was bad, but there were ones that were better, like Alice is
Mm,
Missing, Alien. But I always come back to this is my favorite game, and if I could only pick one guy to ever play again in my entire life, it would be Orbital Blues because
mm,
it part of it's obviously sentimentality because it's my first non D&D game, but also
mm,
because it was just that good. And I think about it, that's another thing for me. If a TTRPG makes me, on top of what I'm feeling, makes me want to design for it, then it's also like something really good and
mm,
like makes me, in a sense, not in like a okay, this is the new hot thing, I should design stuff for this so I can get paid, but like a like
mm,
man, I want to add to the creation of this game. Like I love it. Like
mm.
and Orbital Blues does that for me. Um but for people that aren't gonna for people that aren't gonna go watch the video, the
Right.
layout is the only thing that kills me. Because you have to
Right.
jump around a bunch to make your character. And I've run Orbital Blues as like paid one shots or like raffle games. Like I've done a couple of things with it, like on stream. And usually it's the same like kind of premise, like a simple repo job, which is essentially y'all are on a crew, you have a rival crew who's always trying to steal shit from you and whatnot, and you have
Right.
to deal with them. And it usually ends in a show out and like somebody dies. As of right now, it's always the other crew. I've never had anybody die on like of the players. Um and
That's good.
and to make sure that they didn't have a hard time making their characters, I went through and picked every single section you need for player creation and
Mm,
dropped it. I'd be like, hey, here's the individual PDFs because like it's a little all over the place, which
mm.
it's not enough for me to tell people don't play the game, but I am like, hey, just keep this in mind. The layout's a little bit all over the place. Like that's why it wasn't an S tier for me, but it is truly a superb game.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I mean,
man.
the vibes of it are like if you just to put it really simple, this is Cowboy Bebop the game basically. Like this is what it is. It's like if you understand what that anime is, you
Mhm.
understand what this game is. That's exactly what it is.
It
It's
is
interesting,
literally.
it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that the first one you mentioned was the what was it, Aces and Spades,
Mhm.
which is a
Oh
western,
wait,
right? That you gave was
aces
it
and eights. That's what it was.
Aces and Eights. Okay, sorry. So Aces and Eights is a western, and it has so much, just even the genre itself has just so much horrible real world
Mhm.
baggage. But there is kind of that vibe of like I'm heading out. I've got my crew. I'm
Mhm.
heading into the distant. I'm heading out into the unknown. And so by putting that kind of vibe into space, you strip it away of all the garbage and just you just distill the kind of the compelling stuff about that, I think. And then you can all have fun with your friends going through space, shooting up
Mhm.
casinos, like
Exactly.
all that stuff. So that I think, now that the thing you mentioned, that experience of like, I want to write other stories. That was my experience with all the World of Darkness when that came out in the 90s. I
Mm.
played vampire, werewolf, and mage the Ascension, and that, I mean, I had been playing D&D up until then, but I had exactly the same experience. It's like, I want to write things around this, like, and it was like, and I totally get what you're talking about. But yeah, this I'm down with this. We should talk a little bit about the mechanics too, because I was looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is literally a blues mechanic, right? Like, you should.
Okay. So like brief overview. God, I haven't played this in ages. It's my favorite game. And okay, so you have like it's 3d6. I always have like 46. Okay, I actually always have more than 3d6 near me because dice hoarder, dice dragon kind of guy. But it is typically 3d6. Very you've got what is it? One, two, three. I Man, I should have went and reread this before getting on here. If I'm not misremembering, you've got four stats. You know what? Where I can just I can just pull it up. There's literally
Just
an
go ahead.
orbital
Yeah, it's no
yeah,
worries.
an
There's
orbital
no
blues cheat
there's
sheet that
no
I
ticking
use.
clock. Yeah.
Sheet for players that I always like send over to them. Okay. Hi. Hello. Let's talk about orbital blues real quick. So You have 3 stats. You've got muscle, grit, and savvy. Muscle,
Right.
strength. Grit, how well
Mhm.
you can you can take things. Determination, will, etc. Savvy, like fast talking, smarts, charisma. The whole 9 yards. It's typically a 2d6 plus your stat. I can't remember what the range is for the I'm pretty sure it's like a negative to a positive for the like 3 stats you can get. I can't remember exactly the right ones, but it's 2d6 plus whatever stat. If you like, and it's a static. If you roll an 8 plus, you succeed. Like you never have to look anything up unless like your bad guys have like special armor or something that like gives them a little boost, and then they have to roll higher. But pretty much it's just like a static. Like, hey, here's the DC. You roll and you succeed. Where the 3d6 comes into play is if you have like the upper hand or roll against the odds, which is just essentially it's like advantage and disadvantage.
Mm.
Um, okay, so there's this thing called blues and trouble, right?
Right.
So okay, so you gain blues from your trouble. So when you start playing the game, uh did I get that mixed up? Man, I have to go reread this entire thing now, which is on the
It's
plan
okay.
because I started a series where I'm reading all of the TTRPGs I own. God, cover to cover, and it's like I definitely got to go do that for Orbital Blues again. Um, Okay, so you can gain blues in another way. You can either gain it through gameplay. You can gain it through like you get a trouble, which can give you blues, and then if you get a bunch of blue, if you get like 8 blues, you gain another trouble, and then you reset your blues to 0. And trouble is kind of like you can gain them through like troubles brewing or knocking on heaven's door or at the storyteller discretion. The thing that's really fun about knocking on heaven's door is essentially when you get to like when you're about to die, right? You have so one of the things you do in this game is you pick a song, right? You pick kind of like it's essentially like your swan song, right? And like when when you're getting to the point where
So
you're
Cowboy Bebop.
right, when you're getting to the point where you're about to die, we get the song playing, you do your little thing, and then you're gone. Which is a very simplified way to talk about this. There's other mechanics involved in this, but like that, it's it's such a fun. It's now mind you, unfortunately, because most of the time when I'm running this, I'm running it on stream. So
Right.
those times I can't like the players can't play their music on stream because like
Right.
unless we
Because
get
it'll
like
get
yeah, we can.
marked.
Now I really want to run it again and like find some like free to use music. Oh, okay. I'm gonna put that in the back of my head for later.
Okay.
Um but and like the musical element of it has literally like just gripped me in a vice. I know there's other TTRPGs that use music like that. I literally just um read a Black Future from the Griot anthology recently that also like uses books and poetry and music and stuff for that. But this has just
Mm.
like literally gripped me and to the point where it's like, okay, so I do have to go watch Cowboy Bebop now because I've never seen it before. I've maybe watched like a couple of episodes.
Mm.
And every time people ask me about this, like, oh, it's the unofficial Cowboy Bebop TTRPG. I've never watched it, so I don't know really fully what that means for you, but that's what it is. Um, but it's pretty like it's a really simple thing. Like when you get into combat, it's literally just a D3, so half the D6 plus your savvy. There's 4 different ranges. It's like close, nearby, far, remote. They've got a couple of weapons which very easily tell you like, hey, this is the range you're in for here, this is the range you're in for there, etc., etc., etc. It's you. One second. What do I want to talk about with this? It's just once like it's a really easy game to pick up. Like if I was going to be like if somebody was like, "Hey, can you give me a suggestion for a TTRPG to get into the space for?" I would say Orbital Blues with the caveat of Orbital Blues, but hey, let me send you this so that like making the character sheet is easy. Like
Mm.
it's not hard to make it, but having to jump all around can be frustrating and like being like, "Where is this? Where does this go? How does this attach?"
Mm.
So like just rearranging some things for people to be like, "Hey, just go to this page and then go to this page," right? But
Mm.
otherwise like the mechanics are very simple. I could sit down and teach someone how to play this in like 30 minutes probably. I
Mm.
definitely can't do that for D&D with all of its like
Sure. No.
ins
Yeah.
and outs.
It's
It would
not.
take a lot longer.
Some people it
And
takes years.
no, exactly.
Right.
It's got really like solid chase mechanics as well. I haven't gotten to use those before.
Mm.
Man, I I've been given the opportunity to record in like a live studio for a thing. I just got to edit stuff, and I haven't taken that offer up yet because I got swamped with work, and also
Right.
being in Atlanta for 3 days at a time is a little hectic when it comes
Right.
to working. And now I'm just sitting over here like, man, I could do a whole little chase scene like in a live studio kind of fun little feel, but kind of irrelevant to what we were talking about. It
Okay.
every time I look at this game, it makes me want to do something creative with it. And it's like
Mm.
I've got like this little pink notebook that I like keep near me. And it's like whenever I have like a little teacher, like an idea for a TTRPG or a supplement or something, it goes in the book. And there's at least like half a dozen ones in here that are about orbital blues that I really, really just got to do. And that's another thing that makes this like so fun for me.
Yeah.
If I can keep coming back to it, and it's like making stuff for you might not make me a bunch of money, but it brings me joy thinking about doing it. And when I do it, it'll bring me even more joy and I get more ideas as I look at you. There's just no beating that for me.
Yeah. I just a real quick tip for anyone who's thinking about getting into game design. Do you see that VJ had a little notebook that they are constantly writing in? Designers do that. Like you don't know when an idea is going to come to your head. You could be on a train, you could be on a like you could be anywhere, and you don't know. So I'm glad. I'm thank you for pulling that out
Yeah,
and showing it a little bit, right? Like you've got it. You just don't know where inspiration. You don't know what you're going to think
exactly.
about when you think about it, and you got to capture that, and you'll start
Hmm.
to. So people, will ask questions a lot, like, where do you come up with all the ideas? It's like, well, I had a journal for 40 years.
No, exactly. And mind you, yes, you can use your phone, but what happens when your phone dies? What
Right.
happens if you forget your phone?
Right.
Let's say you run to the store and you just I don't need my phone for this. I'm just gonna go to the store, and then it's like, oh, because I have like this little like brown satchel I like to carry around. I mean, not recently because I left it at a friend's place in Ohio. That I'm gonna get it back later. But so it's usually really easy for me to just have this and like a pen in my or and it's also not that big, so I like my pants will fit it in my back pocket or something. It's a backup, or at the very least, if I put it on my phone, I then put it over there as well. So it's in two places.
There you
Um,
go. Nice. Should we move on to Alice is Missing?
yeah. Hi. Hello. Hey. I need you to understand. I don't okay. I don't back a lot of TTRP. There was a time. Okay, so prior to getting into like into D into T like I started designing in 2020, but I didn't start doing like full-time stuff until like full-time GMing and stuff until 2022. I worked in nonprofits. I worked for a reproductive justice healthcare organization. I worked with a global nonprofit that was all about training people in the global south to help them with their like movements like work and stuff. And so when I was doing that and I had more disposable income, I was backing Kickstarters left and right, like boom, boom,
Mm.
boom, boom, boom. And then I got into TTRPGs full time, and I was like, okay, I can't keep doing what I was doing before. I was making significantly more money before. Um, and but since that like change, it's been like 3 years now. I don't back a lot of TTRPGs. Like like it's got to be a really like oh shit. And 9 times out of 10, it's not anything related to D&D. It's like something like completely original, or it's like tied to something I already love. So or blue stuff, that
Mm.
kind of thing. Um, and I backed. Not only did I back, not only did I back Alice is Missing, I like got the extra upgrade, which gave you like the Silent Falls addition to it, and
Mm.
it listen, when I tell you that I've been trying to find people to play this because I didn't realize I didn't know I didn't like I never like I got the game, it sounded cool, and then I never did any further research before I played it afterwards. I was like, okay, this looks cool, sure. I tried to play it. You need 3 players and not just two, so me and my buddy couldn't play together. And I went to the New Jersey Web Fest like last year, I think it was, and tried to find time for all of the gang to play it, but like it didn't work out. The stuff doesn't always work out. And then I was like, oh, let's
Yeah.
try and play it online. We had 6 players though, and I was like, okay, sure, maybe I'm sure we can add a player. Reader, we could have added a player, but it would have taken I like we could have added a player. I have like a an official VJH Creations artist. Like we have a trade going on for services. I could have added a player, could have added another like a representation of said player, the whole 9 yards, but it would have taken I would have had to like finagle with the timing, the whole nine
Right.
yards, everything, which, not the end of the day, but and then I got swamped with work. And then finally, I was visiting friends. I was visiting with my friend Pooja, who I love dearly, and I've played and like streamed TTRPGs with. We haven't been doing that lately. And I went to go visit her, and her wife, and then another one of our friends like came over from the UK, and we played Alice is Missing, and it was so good. It was so good. Literally, we just the like I so essentially, for those of you that don't know, when you're playing Alice is Missing, you are like I'm pretty sure you don't have to do it like this, but we just played like the straight, like you draw a card, like
Yeah, you
you
had
pick a
like the
person.
people
Yeah,
cards. Yeah,
yeah,
you're a
yeah. You
person.
you can either draw or pick a person. We use some of the digital tools because Pooja's partner was sick, and so it was like, okay, this is perfect. We can still do this, and we can still play all together and stuff with her being like in another room and stuff. And so we use the digital cards. I wound up being the brother of Alice. And I wound up being the
Suspicious.
brother. Yeah, no, right.
Suspicious.
I wound up being the brother of Alice. We all did our like little went off and like did a recording for like, oh man, what is your secret with Alice? The whole 9 yards. How are you? Like you're talking about our connections with our other friends and stuff. And I think about it and I'm like, man, we got to play this. We got to play this again because just having the game like like the concept of being completely silent for a TTRPG and only using this other medium
Right.
is so
You can
fun.
only text, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm. Like completely silent otherwise. And I think we did a
Yeah.
pretty good job with that. I think there's maybe one or two times where we didn't, but overall, pretty good silent job. And like things can go really well for Alice or really bad. Alice survived in our game. Thank goodness. The homie lived. Um, but I have like since playing it, I went and like looked and be like, oh no. The homie died in a number of other people's stuff. Or like I read the cards too, and I was like, oh man, I got really lucky that my sister was still alive. But it is like, man, just the writing is magnificent, right? For every bit of it. And I think the thing that elevated it to the S tier for me was like the way in which you play the game, right? I because if there was like a ranking within like if you had like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 S tier ranking, because here's the thing, I
Mhm.
still think it like it's hard for me to separate like the entirety of it to just like the writing and the gameplay. I do
Right.
feel like if there was like a 1, 2, 3 within each of the rankings, if I had to like put them in exact order, Alice is Missing without the game, without like that specific, hey, you're gonna be silent this entire time. Here's how this works, would be either a very high A or a very low S. But with it
Mhm.
here, I'm like, I didn't actually like say which of the S tiers in there that I like better, and I didn't do that with any of them. But like, I think Alice is Missing is of the two the top tier of that. Like,
Wow.
it is the pinnacle in my opinion for this. And even if Orbital Blues had been an S tier, I would still think Alice is Missing is was the pinnacle of that S tier, despite Orbital Blues
Mhm.
being my favorite game. Dogs.
It happens
What do
to
you,
us all.
yeah? What are you gonna do
Don't worry
about
about it. Yeah, you can't do
them?
anything about it. You can't like they're dogs,
Mm-mm,
right?
mm-mm. I know
So,
exactly.
they've got their own thing going on. So let's see. What else was on the list? Alien.
Yeah.
Was that S or A? I can't
That
remember.
was an S.
That was
Alien
an S.
and Alice is Missing were my two S tiers. So one of so first and mind you, I had an amazing GM, my buddy Nick, who is also a professional GM in Malaysia through like I can't remember the company, but does it as professionally as well. Like goes to cons and stuff and gets paid and all that, and has designed some stuff as well. And I think was a part of like a movie project that I could not begin to tell you more details of because my brain just like ugh. Like when they talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you telling me about this. But it's like out of sight, out of mind. No object permanence apparently. But first off, loves Nick, just a really good, just in general, game master, but also like So obviously, prior to playing this game, I have well, maybe not obviously, but I have seen the Alien movies before. I haven't seen all of them. I want
Mm,
to watch them because I really like them a lot. So I already had like some like exposure to the like franchise prior to us playing this game, and in a way that I really love the movies. And so we get into the game, and honestly, I sometimes I haven't okay, so I haven't played a lot of games that are, like, based in, like, other, like, entertainment media or whatnot,
mm,
but even with that, I do sometimes think, like, man, I feel like video like, TTRPGs and stuff might, like, sometimes have a hard time really, like, translating the feel you get from the book, from the game, from the
yeah,
TV show into
it's
the
not
into
easy.
the action. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and and truly, I felt like, yeah, I'm in this. Like the atmosphere, the horror of it. Honestly, I'm not a big baby. Some like like on a scale of 1 to 10 on who's like ten's like, oh, so not scary, can't get scared, and one's like, oh God, I'm gonna hide in a closet for the rest of my life. I'm like a solid 4.5, 5, like 4.5. Like I like
I would
horror.
have pegged you as a 7. I would have said
No.
7,
I
to
I
be
like to
honest.
I like horror, but it does freak me out, like,
Yeah.
on and
Yeah,
off. So, like
I'm kinda the same way. Yeah, I think probably I'm in some range. The it's tricky because I like the movies, right? Um, the first 2 especially, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know if I would actually enjoy being on the ship, being like, in contained in deep space, hunted down by these horrible creatures on my day off. Like, like I don't know. I don't think it's hard for me to get around it. I'm just gonna have to sit around and play it. I wonder, I think, I think if I do play it, it would have to be online because it's just gonna be hard to find just enough people to
Yeah.
get it. Just some friends are walking by right in my window. Um, but I think maybe just around the table. So when you played it, did you play online or did you play it on the table or have you done both?
Just online. Like the vast majority of these games have just been online. I think honestly, D&D and Mothership are ones that I oh wait, actually Orbital Blues I've gotten to play in person with like my buddies in Ohio when I was still up
Yeah.
there. And but the like majority of a number of these games like Aces and Eights, Fabula Ultima, Orbital Blues as well, and like I have an ongoing like TTRPG online group that we've been
Mm,
playing for like 5 years, I think at this point. It's
nice.
been like, and we it life's getting in the way a little bit right now, but like
Right.
we always wind up coming back and playing stuff again together, and so we were all online, and also like Nick's in Malaysia, so it had to be online.
You have
Uh,
to, you don't have a choice.
yeah, we don't really have a choice there. So it was very much online, which also is another thing where I'm like, in my opinion, when you do horror stuff, having it be online can sometimes it can be like it can be really helpful or it can be a hindrance. Like it just like you got to really approach it carefully. And the fact that it like went so well online, I felt like I was in that space. Like I could believe that I was playing a little guy that was being
Mm.
hunted. I could believe that, oh God, we're gonna all die here. I did in fact die there. I got turned into a xenomorph and I was trying to
Nice.
kill one of the other players who got us in this situation. I was like, um,
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. So, I mean, you're gonna die, right? You're being
mhm,
hunted by
mhm,
aliens. What happens after you die? Do you keep, because it's like it's almost like that Monopoly has that problem, right? You go bankrupt first,
mhm,
and there's like
mhm,
four other people who have all their, houses and hotels, and you just sit
mhm,
and watch them. So it's not
mhm,
fun.
mhm,
I was
mhm.
wondering if kind of, Alien has the same sort of issue. It sounds like they've solved it.
So here's the thing. Like while I'm like I wanted so I haven't run it, and I've listened, like I know the rules enough to play my character, right?
Mm,
And I don't know if Nick just added this or if it's a part of the mechanics, but essentially what happened to me when I got turned, because like it was on it, like first off, it was pretty we were very close to the end. Side note, the only person that survived in this game was the synth. Which you
of
know what?
course.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
they always
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Is that like I was still like for a while I was still in control of my body. until like there, and that's why it was my mind, a bit of my mind in this creature. This is why we were trying to kill the other player who was like management or something that got us into this fucking mess partially. Um, and so Nick just had me kind of like one Nick had me trying to fight, like just like to hold on to control of my mind for just a little bit longer. And then when I
Right.
lost that and I started turning, still allowed me to be like, I'm going after this motherfucker. I'm going after you. You get over here. And then by the time like that played out, it was like the end already. So I don't know what would have happened if I like would have died earlier. I'm
Right.
pretty sure there were other like crew members or something, like maybe in a
There's
cryopod
gotta
or
be like
yeah,
just you've got,
yeah,
you
just
come out of you wake up out of
yeah,
cryo
exactly.
sleep or something. It doesn't
Yeah.
it seems like the designers are smart enough. I
Mhm.
think I'm just gonna have to play it to really know that. So let's see, couple thoughts just coming out of Alien. One is there's this question of like playing in an existing IP. One thing I've noticed is that D&D these days, for a lot of people who sort of play it a little bit more casually, they're playing Forgotten Realms and they don't even really
Mhm.
know it sometimes. They just think Forgotten Realms is D&D. That's the
Mhm.
setting that you play in, right? And so, but there's just enough of that. Like, I think it's just enough in the zeitgeist. Like, you kind of know what it's supposed to feel like, the tone of it. So when you
Yeah.
have a new player, it's easy for them. It's the cognitive load is less because they just
Mhm.
already have the image in their head. So, the dungeon master can say, you walk into a tavern and, there's this, and they immediately can fill out the details. And then some of these existing IP, let's see, Alien is one where if I just say you're on a creepy old ship, you immediately know what that looks like. You don't have to, you don't have to describe that. And then
No,
some,
exactly.
let's see, what else is there? There's a Fallout game.
Mhm.
If if you're familiar with the games, if you're familiar with the series, you immediately know you're in a vault. You immediately know what that looks like. It makes it easy. But then I think like um Star Wars was like that too. I don't know if there's going to ever be a new Star Wars game. I hope there is. There's been like 5 iterations, whatever. Anyway,
I
um
think Good Society would fall on that as well. Like, it's not like a set thing, but if you're like, hey, Regency, you're gonna think Pride and Prejudice. A lot of people are gonna
right.
think Bridgerton. Like, they have like
Yeah,
a
you immediately, it's
mhm, mhm,
leveraging some kind of existing thing where then you start getting into this range of Orbital Blues is almost there. It's like, okay, it's like Cowboy Bebop or Firefly. You need them to kind of mentally anchor. I wonder sometimes if that's a big challenge for independent designers
mm,
where they have a uphill battle to make sure that they're really getting the vibes right. Like I think that must make the art so much more important in their book so that people understand. The example I'm thinking of is Spire, The City Must Fall,
mm,
because I think without the artwork in that game, you could understand it, but I don't think you would understand the feeling of it. I don't know,
mhm,
just kind of
mhm.
some stray thoughts. I don't know if when you're designing something, how much are you thinking about the images also in your head when you're designing, not just the actual
Yeah.
story and mechanics.
So D&D has been my primary design space, so I haven't had like because, like you said, this is in the zeitgeist. There's a lot of things I haven't had to do that,
Right.
but I've like designed outside of that. I'm getting work for stuff outside of that. I've got like one game that I made that I really need to go revamp, and another one that I'm making that also has some of those like one of the it's called Fleeting Moments, and unfortunately homophobia does exist in this setting.
Mm.
And it's very much like queer cowboys riding around the wild what like one of the touchstones for it is Brokeback Mountain, right? And so
Nice.
it like you got there's like a
That's great.
like in the thoughts of like making that and designing that and like currently still working on it, me and a buddy who's like on hiatus from it for the time being because of life stuff. There's like there is um uh Jesus words. already wrote like while we were doing it, I was already like roping in like my like the official VJ Creations artist to be like, hey, so here's what I'm kind of feeling. Like one of the like the like God like thing where it's like like whoever's reaching out and they can't quite touch each other. Like very much like thinking about like those kind of imagery and whatnot to really get across the sense of like, hey, you're just barely out of reach from each other, along with like we have to make sure the supernatural elements in there and like thinking about what the additional like artwork would look like because my buddy is really good with portraits, landscapes and
Mm,
stuff. Got to get somebody
mm,
else to do it, and really trying to figure out what like what images will really convey this, like keep with the like Wild West theme, but also like I want essentially I would want every single picture to like have some element of that longing in it, right? Like, because that is the core of the game. You're separated
mm,
from your loved one or loved ones, because multiplayer, you can have multiple players in it, and you only get to be with them minimum an hour, maximum 3 days, like
mm,
throughout the cycles of the game, and then it ends, and it always ends in tragedy. Like I want that longing in like pretty much all the pictures. I want some form of tragedy in there somehow.
mm.
Like and so sitting here trying to think of like the staples of like the Wild West, and just my grandpa's a big Wild West fan, so watching a bunch of stuff that he would watch, hell, watching like a bunch of the Yellowstone shows, which is a lot. There's a lot. Just because some
Yeah.
of them are really really sad, right? Like,
Right.
um, and just trying
Yeah.
to like
I
keep in
Yeah, I
mind
don't know
that
if we can talk
longing.
about how much we get. I grew up in Western Colorado, so Yellowstone was actually really hard for me to watch, like, because it was just like, "No, man, no. No, it's not like that."
Mhm.
Like, it's just yeah. I wanna I wanna this made me think about something that you said that's
Mhm.
very, very interesting, where you are cueing in to an active emotion. Now, so when I was in, so I majored in creative writing, and that was one of the first. Yeah, hi, welcome.
Colleagues.
Yeah, right. So so one. I mean, one of the first workshops. And it's so weird with these creative writing workshops. Sometimes it's like the first teacher that you get is the one you remember the most, but it
Mhm,
was like
mhm,
just the way you focus your story is like you can have pretty words on a page, but if you don't know in your head what that active emotion is,
mhm,
it's just not gonna it's the story's not gonna fly, it's not gonna sing, and you actually have to put it to a word, like pick one word. And it's interesting that you said perfectly, if you're doing Brokeback Mountain, that is longing.
mhm,
That is just in all its aspects. What is longing? And if you know that, then you can put out the art. So again, if you're an independent designer, listen to VJ. What did the game make you feel? That is the most important thing. So design it with an intention, design it with an emotion in mind, I think, and then do the mechanics support that? Does the art support that? Does the storyline support that? Um, and I think if you're consciously trying to help the players, because the players are going to they're the ones making the story, but you're
mhm,
giving them the framework to do so. And as long as you've just got that one emotion, it's like this is about longing, right? Spire, this is about oppression and resistance. And when you get that right, like Vampire, this is about loss of humanity, right? I think all of the best games probably have that. I think maybe I mean I haven't had the pleasure of playing Orbital Blues, but my sense is what is freedom, right? That's
yeah.
kind of it's like I think you got to just nail it. Just pick one word and say this is one emotional word and this is what the game is. I think yeah. Yeah, thank you. I feel like you just made me a lot smarter. Yeah. I think yeah, I don't know. Am I wrong? Like first of all, am I off base or is there anything
I
you'd like to add to that?
I don't think you're off base at all. I think I um my PS5.
Okay.
One thing I
Nice.
see, I'm just gonna turn that off so it doesn't do it
Okay.
again. I think the only thing I would say, I definitely think Orbital Blues is like I think it's a combination of like what is freedom and what is the lack of it. Because it's very much like a
Mm.
lot of
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
or what is and isn't freedom, like, because the way I run it, every time, like, pretty much every time I've run this thing, it's like you guys are shackled to the gig economy, and like also
Right.
that's like a part of the like hold on a second, let me find the listen, I used to know the little spiel by heart, to the point where I could just ramble it off because it's my favorite little guy, but just to like share this real quick. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put this over here so you see me talking to you. This is the rock and roll future of yesteryear that never was and nobody wanted. It's an intergalactic age of cowboys, outlaws, and bandits playing on an interstellar stage. It is a time of hypercapitalism and a cutthroat gig economy. Unreliable trash heaps carry scrappy underdogs to their next gig, and corporation fighters lumber across the horizon laden with an empire's bounty. These are the music fueled, Mune Age daydreams of a rebel space age. These are your orbital blues. And like
Yeah.
the gig economy part is like explicitly like called out in there, as well as the bandits and all of that other stuff. So it is very much of like a tale of like, hey, of freedom and a lack thereof, which I think
Mm,
having like Firefly as a touchstone for that really works.
mm.
If I'm remembering the show correctly, like I've only watched it once before, and then I didn't watch the movie, so like it's been a while. But like very much the central thing is like freedom and greed because of the
Mm.
hypercapitalism and all that good stuff, and the freedom of like, do you have it?
Yeah,
Why
you've
don't
got
you? What are you like?
yeah. So I think you've got these kind of like these two counterbalances, and then that's where the tension is coming. That's when all the inherent tension is just kind of organically,
Hmm.
kind of bubbling out of the game. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Hmm.
everyone, please listen to this. If you're going to make a game, listen to the last 15 minutes of this conversation.
Oh boy.
uh, I don't know. Maybe we have not helped anyone. But anyway, this is the kind of last question I wanted to ask. So yeah, there were so many other games. So anyone watching, anyone listening, please go back and watch VJ's video that breaks down all these other games. But is there anything on your radar that you haven't had a chance to play yet, but you would like to? I'm sure the list is massive because there's
Oh
just like so many
Jesus.
games being
There's
made.
so many TTRPGs. Literally, that's why I'm starting the cover to cover series because I own so many things and I don't read them. And I don't do anything with them. Actually, yes. Okay, so there is Bloodbeam Badland. Hold on, Bloodbeam Badlands. Um, Man, I hope I'm saying Viditya's last name correctly. So there's Bloodbeam Badlands by Viditya Volati. Oh man, I'm gonna feel so bad if I'm saying the homie's last name wrong. But okay, it is essentially gunslinging vampires in the unsetting apocalypse, which is like
Mm.
pretty much like the sun never sets. It's always blaring down on you. You are vampires
Ooh.
that can kind of come out and like be out in the sun, but it is killing you. You're not dying right away, but it is killing you. And this has been on my like list of like, god, I want to play this. Like I last year I ran Weird West for like the by
Mm.
POC Vamp Day, and then I wanted to bring my group that I had back together for Blood Beans Badland for a game called Oathbound, but we couldn't
Mm.
make our schedules work up. And then I got invited on the Wondarium channel to run something. I was like, I'm gonna run Blood Beans Badlands. That's what we're doing. Like literally, I've had this for I bought this a year ago, and I haven't had the chance to play it, and I am so excited about it. It is like, oh, it's a really cool premise. I don't know if you know this about me. I love vampires. I honestly vampires, werewolves, witches, but
Me
in a
too.
category vampires. No, it's vampires and werewolves, and then everything else underneath that. I like. I really love a little guy. And so like I love a Wild West setting. Like
Mm. Yeah.
the westerns just
Yeah.
kind of have me in a tight vice for TTRPGs. Like I don't dislike westerns in like movies and books and stuff, but they're not like my go-to setting. But you won't
Right.
if you say it's a western, it's not going to turn me off of it, but it's not also going to be like, oh my god, I gotta watch it. You
Yeah.
know? but I'll
Yeah,
check it out.
some of them are great. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I don't want to watch anything with John Wayne. Like that's basically my standard. It's like I know it's not going to be
Mhm,
what I
mhm,
want to see. But there's some great stories that come out of it.
mhm,
It's so
mhm.
interesting you say, you know, say that. Like I was saying before, like when I stopped playing D&D for a long time, it was vampire, werewolf, mage. The first thing we did was adapt it to an Old West setting. Like that was the first thing we did with it. It's
Yes.
just like,
Ugh,
yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that is just endlessly compelling and just kind of fires the imagination somehow.
like,
I mean, it's someone could write a PhD about why, but
right?
you know,
It's
yeah.
Old West or it's space. Here's the thing, and I think it's the same for me at least. I think it's the same thing, like Old West, like Wild West and space. Because if you step back from the like inherent bigotry that we find in like historical like Wild West stuff, like the actual things, and in a lot of games, which I try not to play ones that have that. I didn't. Me and the buddies didn't know what was going on with aces and eights when we went into it, and they were like, "Oh,
Right. Oh, wait a second.
well, we're here. We're just not going to do the racism and we'll check it out. I guess. Um, very much this like space exploration and Wild West very much have those themes of like freedom in there, of
Mm,
like going out and making your mark and like discovering
mm,
things and whatever. And I like outside of the bad things for the genre, I feel like I really deeply like that in a like TTRPG kind of setting. Like, hey, off you go into the great unknown, make your mark, don't let anybody shackle you down.
mm, mm. Um, Thank you so much for coming today. I think that's a good place to leave off. But I would love to have you back soon. So,
Yeah,
any project you've got going on that you'd like to come on and talk about, more than welcome. If you just
yeah.
want to come back and like let's pick another three and just dig into them, I'm here for it. I hope you
Listen,
are.
I'll come
Any
back.
final? Yeah, let's
I'll come
do
back
this.
as
That
many
was
times
great.
as you want me,
Oh,
to be perfectly honest.
it's
I love, listen, anybody else that's listening out there that has a podcast, I love talking about
yeah,
TTRPGs. All right.
yeah.
You want to grab me? I'm here.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much and see you soon.